Welcome back to the Paranormal Girl Podcast. I am your host, Kristen. Since the start of this show, I have wanted to attend a paranormal convention. Guess what? I just booked tickets to my first. The Oregon Ghost Conference is being held March 24th through the 26th at the Seaside Civic and Convention Center, and I am stoked, dudes. I'm stoked. I've never been to one. So this one has a lot of really neat speakers lined up and is offering some pretty fabulous classes, a couple of which I have already booked. I will be attending one called Properly Applied Skepticism in Paranormal Research and Psychology and the Paranormal. I mean, I feel as if these were tailor-made to suit my purposes. Lee and I are going to divide and conquer somewhat. He is going to attend one called ABCD EVP, which sounds awesome. And then we're going to share and compare notes after we're all done. I'm super excited for this. I can't even tell you. And hey, any listeners out there who are also planning to attend the Oregon Ghost Conference, hit me up. Let's meet up. I would love that. I look forward to seeing you there. A quick word from our sponsors, and then we are going to get to today's guests. Support for the Paranormal Girl Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. The leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming are once again revolutionizing the men's hygiene game with the new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Say goodbye to your stubble trouble and tame his mane. Save 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com and using code PNG. We have talked about the brush, the comb, the beard oil, the beard shampoo and conditioner. But the Beard Hedger Pro Kit would not be complete without the Beard Hedger. Now, would it? I think not. The Beard Hedger is a premium beard sculpting machine. It is cordless, waterproof. It comes with a rotary wheel that gives you the option for 20 different hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no additional stuff cluttering up your space. It is also equipped with a titanium-coated T-blade that is tough on hair and smooth on your face, leading to single-stroke efficiency. Pair this beast with any or all of the items found in the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, and you've got yourself one sick lil hygiene regimen. A sexy, nicely sculpted beard does not need to be some tricky feat, you guys. Give it a shot and save 20% off and free shipping when you use code PNG at manscaped.com. That is 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com by using code PNG. Manscaped Beard Hedger, one stroke, one guard, 20 lengths. My guests recently celebrated their 100th episode. It was a fantastic show about Skinwalker Ranch, and after today's episode, you really should head over there and give it a listen. Alongside their supernatural inclinations, these guys have worked to create a welcoming community for mental health and anti-bullying, along with a supportive collective of listeners they affectionately refer to as Creepies. What you see and hear is truly what you get with these boys. You can tune in every Wednesday and Saturday to enjoy their discussions about everything from ghosts to cryptids, haunted locations to UFOs. If it's paranormal and creepy, they're talking about it because they are Todd, Shawn, and Nate, and they are middle-aged and creeped out. Enjoy.
That's my job. I get voluntold, right? We are middle-aged and creeped out. I'm Shawn.
I'm Nate. I'm the sound engineer.
And I'm Todd, one of the co-hosts.
And we do this podcast called Middle-Aged and Creeped Out. And we've been doing this for almost 2 years. We're getting close to our anniversary in March.
March 13th.
March 13th coming up, yeah. And what we do, like you said, we talk about just about everything. We're a bit conversational. We're a bit zany and silly. We do it for guy time, but we also do it for the mental health support. We really try to build a community with that. We put out main episodes that drop every Wednesday and mini episodes on Saturday afternoons. So we've been able to do that pretty consistently over the last almost couple of years.
Surprisingly, with 3 schedules.
we come from 3 different worlds too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get anything to line up, even if it's just, 2 people getting together. But so I get that, trying to get the schedules to line up. And you all work like, outside of this as well. So it's tough to juggle.
work is a relative term, but yes.
We go somewhere and they pay us.
And they pay us to get there. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I am so glad that you mentioned that right off the bat. I was going to ask you your call to action. Every episode, you give out the number for the suicide prevention hotline, and that is so important. It's just it's still not talked about enough. It's an important call to action, and I wanted to ask you about that. Why is that so important to you guys? Why did you choose that?
Kristen, when I started having the idea of doing a podcast, I wanted to do the creepy fun stuff. But I thought it's important to do something aside from just talking about the paranormal. And so the mental health is a big deal to me. I know it is for Nate and Shawn. I struggle with it. I struggle with depression and anxiety. I've got family members that do, some friends, and I think pretty much everybody does in some sort of fashion to some degree. And I just wanted, and when I asked Shawn to jump on board to do the podcast with me, he was like, yeah, that's something that's important to him as well. And it is, Nate. And we just want to do something that helps people. So if it's giving out the number, if it's sharing our struggles, if it's, like on our Facebook page, we've built a community where, hey, if you've got something to share and it's keeping you down, or you just need a moment you just need to say something to somebody, you need a prayer, a good word of encouragement. That's what we're here for. So it's to give a little bit, to give something back to our listeners and our followers, not just the paranormal stuff, which we enjoy greatly, and that's fun. But that's the best way I can describe it. It's important, and like you said, it's not talked about enough. It really isn't.
Right.
And it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I think it's only going to get worse, to be honest with you. And what's sad is, like, there's so many kids, children that struggle with it at an early age. My wife is in education and has been for over 20 years, and now she's in the behavioral. And it's sad. It's what these kids deal with. I'm talking
bullying into it too.
Yeah, the bullying. We're anti-bullying. It's something. I mean, first and second graders are dealing with mental health issues. So yeah. So that's pretty much the reason.
We also came out of COVID. We're kind of that term gets thrown around a lot, but a COVID baby.
Yeah.
And so we got, out of the midst, or during the COVID, as things are starting to come, out of the darkness a little bit, when we could get together. That's what Todd and I started talking about. Like, we just got together for dinner and we talk about, like, how much this sucks. We need to do something that we feel like we can put back into the world, and something to bring fun back and guy time. And then the mental health was a big part of our discussion that we wanted to be part of. So it is something that it helped us to get through a really dark time, and then dark times that we're still trying to get out of. But yeah, that's been an exciting part of it. And I don't think that it would be as successve had we not had that piece of it and that part of it. So yeah, that means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've seen a lot of podcasts that they try to pick something that's important to them, kind of like their flag to carry. But what you guys are doing, you're just offering an incredibly safe space. I know, with your community and all of that, offering that help, just extending that help. So just please keep doing it, because I know a lot of people struggle. So.
Thank you.
On that note, so it was your bright idea for this show, Todd.
Yes. Yeah. I've been listening to my bright idea. That's a good way to put it. I wanted to do a podcast. Let's see, it was July of 2019 when Jerry Polly of Hillbilly Horror Stories, he and his wife Tracy, good friends of ours, he let me come to their house on a Saturday and see how it all happens, how the podcast world, how it happens. So I had dinner with him, and then he's like, well, let's go upstairs. At that time, it was in their bedroom, their studio. And they let me sit in on a podcast episode. And I thought I was just there to observe, because that's all I really, I was taking notes and things. And then he introduced me, and I was like, and he goes, hold on, time out. He goes, you got to say your name. I go, I didn't know I was coming on the show. So I literally was like, as they were recording, I was able to, interact a little bit. But yeah, so probably I've been listening to podcasts 2016, 2017, something like that. And then 2019 is when I was like, okay, I want to see how this works, how the podcast, from the recording to the editing, how the setup works. So
You still don't know how the editing works.
I don't.
That's Nate's world. Yeah.
I would have big Nate here.
He's the glue.
Yeah. So after that, I was hooked. I'm like, this has got to happen. I have got to start a podcast. Now I wasn't sure what kind, because I'm a big sports fan. I like business, so I kicked it around a lot. And I thought, no, paranormal, that's the way to go. I want to do that. And so I was like thinking about, and Shawn kept encouraging me. He's like, you need to do a podcast. You'd be great. You like to talk, and you'd be. I'm like, Well, then I thought, you know what? It'd be fun to do a podcast with somebody else. So I have a partner, so that's how this guy came on.
So after 3 people said no, he came to me. No, I'm kidding.
4.
I miscounted.
No, yeah. So I thought, you know what? Who would I like to have on with me as a co-host? And I'm like, Shawn Layman. So I was like, that's, he's a talker like me. We and I knew he liked the paranormal. We had shared some stories.
We had dinner because nobody else would come out, just us, and we talk about some of these experiences and things that we enjoyed. And it was like, he started saying that he was going to do it. And I started listening to podcasts about 2018 or so. I listened to Rogan, and then I started branching out and listening to other ones. And I just loved the art of conversation is something that I think gets lost. And that's what podcasts bring to us. And I think that it's one of those things where I thought, man, I don't want to sit there and listen even for an hour, somebody's conversation. But when I started listening, it was surprising how interesting it is. So when he asked me at first, I was like, I'm too busy. There's no way I'll run out of things to say. But the more we talked about it, we were almost like little kids trying to think about like how this can happen. And the more we talked about it, we let our 12-year-old selves come out and just start, what if, and what, our imaginations took a hold, and we just never looked back.
Yeah. And that I always think that the conversation, like, I'm not going to know what to say. I'm not going to know what to ask, but it just goes because like, that's how you found your subject, the right subject, because it's fluid, man. Like you get into it and you just do, you feel like that young kid again. It's like, this is so cool. This is just fun, cool. Yeah. Have fun. Did you say earlier, March 10th? You guys started March 10th?
Oh, March 13th.
Oh, March 13th. Oh, okay.
That was when the first episode dropped. Yep. So
we actually recorded in January
6th.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I got COVID. So I missed just about a month of work. And then, we had to put the podcast on hold. Yeah. So we recorded. I got sick literally 2 or 3 days after that. And then the week I was supposed to go back to work after COVID, I got a kidney stone. And that was horrible. So I missed that week. So I'm like, guys, just hang in there. And I remember Shawn, I think Jenna,
my wife,
said, is he really wanting to still do the podcast? He's like, well, I think so. And I'm I do. I just, let me get back to.
We thought maybe.
Yeah. And so
he's all hooked up to life support in the background. He's like, I want to do this.
Middle-aged and almost dead. No, but so that was why the little pause there for a month and a half or so, and then a couple months. So but then once we dropped it March 13th and haven't missed yet. Well,
okay.
March 10th is my sister's birthday, and March 12th is your birthday.
March 12th is my birthday.
And then 13th is our anniversary. So there's a lot going on during that little period of time.
Okay. I misheard because March 10th is my anniversary. So I was like,
oh, cool.
Oh my gosh. But you guys are, you got some months on me. So, all right. Well, you know what? I really want to, this is one of my favorite parts of the show, these conversations. I want to get into your personal experiences. I know. Yeah. You know what? We all are like, I didn't have anything dramatic. I didn't have much, blah, blah, blah. A lot of us are that way. And then you start spilling and it's like, what? So let's jump in. Who wants to start? I want to hear, what was that thing that just sent you on this path? What was that thing that made you believe something that happened in childhood? Anything. Go for it.
I know for me, ever since I was a kid, I was always kind of I mixed well. I would say I'm a social chameleon. Like even in high school, I would mix with, the cool kids and the jocks and the smart kids and the loners and whatever, So I could kind of mix, but I always felt out of place, like the weird kid. And when I was in early on in my working career, somebody actually pointed out, like, you're a weirdo. And I'm like, oh, I thought that was a bad thing. And she's like, no, it's a good kind of weird. Like you're a genuine soul. And so I've always, since I was young, I've always had that desire to help people. And when I was younger, I went from wanting to be a doctor to wanting to be a minister, all these different little things. And then I've come into being being an occupational therapist. So, but the funny thing is I've had weird dreams throughout my life, even when I was a kid. I used very vivid dreams. And so, in my 20s, I started having out of body experiences, like late 20s and into my 30s. And so I've had those enough that it's just like, I know there's something else out there. It's beyond a regular dream. And so that's, and I've had a lot of like interactions with people that have passed on, and I'm not sure exactly how to take that. A lot of like my grandmother or my uncle and, different people that have gone on before me. And it's almost like they're trying to tell you something, So I've always had that thought of what, I have my own faith and beliefs, religious and spiritual beliefs, but those experiences make me just, even wonder more. I want to know like what is out there. And so I love to hear people's experiences. And the funny thing is, even in all that, I'm still very skeptical. Like I want to know that, if there's some kind of a science behind it, or, there's a lot of things are explainable through, logic and reason and science, but there are some things out there that can't be explained. But I never went like searching to like, hey, I want to get out of my body. I remember the first time it happened, I was with my son, and when my wife worked nights, and he was at an age where he just liked to be in the bed when she wasn't there. So he's like, can I sleep with you? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Well, once I got him to settle down, I remember laying down, I was so tired, I just fell asleep. And I had this dream that I was in like this big, large cabin or a lodge, but I was floating over everybody else, and you could hear everybody's conversations and just different things going on. It was multi-sensory and very strange. And then all of a sudden I felt like I was in the middle of like outer space. And I remember thinking, just lay back and relax. And I felt like I had come out of my body, and I started having this, I don't know whether you call it's an out of body experience, but like through space and time. And it feels like it went on forever. But then it couldn't have been very long, because when I woke up, my son was still, laying next to me. But the communication was this, it's like an angel or a being, you can say it looked like an alien, but it also could have been an angel. So I don't know, but it was sitting there, and it talked very, very like loud and quickly. And I remember first I thought, don't get anxious or this will all go away. Right. And I remember it trying to tell me all this stuff. And I said, talk slower and louder. And I just thought it in my head, and it did. Immediately the volume came down and it went slower, but there was so much information that it was hard to take in. And I remember there being a screen, it looked like a rainbow screen of just information that was trying to be like downloaded for me. And I was like, I'm either too dumb or just like, I'm a human being. I can't take in all this interdimensional or multi-level stuff. But there was bliss, there was love, there was like it's okay kind of feeling to take with me. And then when it was over, I just dropped back in my body. It was almost like a physical drop. And I remember, it was about 3 a.m, because I remember waking up and I wrote down the whole experience. And I remember like praying to God, like, and thanking him for that experience, because it was like all these times I've always wondered, if there's something else out there. There was like this guide for me, or somebody that was out there watching for me. And like I said, it was wrapped in bliss and love and comfort. And so that was wonderful.
Right. Oh my God. That was your first experience?
That would be my first. Yes. That was my first. Yeah.
Wow.
There's more, but my gosh, we'll have to say.
Jumped right in on that.
I did.
I mean, my
No.
limited knowledge of astral projection. I'm really thinking back to a conversation I had with Vincent Fields, who'd been doing it for decades. But his more advanced, adventures out of body were exactly like that. He's like, you're going through, different dimensions and time periods and just all of this, and understanding this grander, like blissful, plan, like just feeling that and knowing that, like, whoa, that blows me away. So that's incredible.
Yeah. And the weirdest thing is, it's not like I sat down, to read books and like, hey, this is what I want to do or practice or study or whatever. It just happened. I've had those experiences too, where like you hear your name called at the end of the bed, or, or waking up and I'm like, I'm just probably dreaming, but it's very realistic. And there have been times where I'd seen what I considered definitely angels, like presenting themselves over me and trying to get my attention, but I was so scared that they just disappear. And it was like, okay, so those are the things that like something's going on, but you feel silly to ask. This is, the community we try to build. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable talking about these things, because it is like in a normal conversation, people just be like, okay, he needs to be on medicine. He needs to be locked away for a little bit. He'll be okay. That's so you just don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
But we find so many people have experiences out there that are just, they're bizarre and they're not socially acceptable.
Right.
Nate?
I've always enjoyed horror genre movies growing up. So I've always been into that kind of stuff. And then as far as personal experiences, growing up, I never really had any experiences, but we've gone on a number of investigations now. And I've been lucky enough to have experiences during those trips. We went to Whispers Estate. That was the second one in one day. Went to Bobby Mackey's earlier that day.
Ooh.
My leg got pinched there, but then other than that, I mean, you guys had like headache or whatever over in the one corner by the pool tables, but I didn't feel that. But then we ended up at Whispers Estate, and as I was coming out of the room that has the stairway up to the attic and going in, crossing the hallway to the master bedroom, the stairway for downstairs is right there at the end of the hall next to the door to the master bedroom. And as I walked across the hallway, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. We were all upstairs. There's nobody downstairs. So I went running into the room and I was following our friend Aaron Ignatz, paranormal investigator. And I was like, I just heard footsteps. I just heard footsteps. And I was like freaking out. She's like, what? Where? She goes running back out in the hallway. I was like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I heard him.
Well, she had that doll. What was it? The doll that had the, they call it Whispers Estate for a reason, because sometimes you hear children's whispers and all that kind of stuff. And you actually,
had one of those touch sensitive teddy bears or whatever. So she set it in the daughter's room, and I couldn't see it, but where Erin was sitting, she could see it. She's like, did you see that? I was like, no, I didn't see anything. She's like, the bear just fell over. And so that was like an experience that she had. But then later in the evening, her and I were sitting in that same master bedroom, and we started hearing tapping. And so she kept talking with it, saying, can you do that again? And they'd do it again. And so it wasn't like crazy stuff happening, but I mean, nonetheless, it was evidence that something was happening. And then my favorite experience to this date was we're at Waverly Hills down in Louisville, and again with Erin. And I was walking with Erin and her mom down one of the hallways, and then I veered off into one of the rooms, but the window separating that room from the hallway it was missing, like a lot of them. And as I walked in that room, I heard in my left ear a man sigh, just, oh. And I sat there and I stopped. And Erin goes, oh man, did you hear that? And I was like, what'd you hear? She's like, I heard a man sigh. I was like, yep, that's what I heard too.
Oh, I didn't know she heard it too.
Yeah, she heard it. Yeah, I heard it. And so,
see, like stuff like that. I mean, that's just proof in itself. Like you both heard the same thing, like separate, apart, but you heard the same thing. Come on, that's incredible.
There's definitely, I've always felt in my heart that there's something beyond our life and what we can see, our spectrum. Every investigation that we've gone on now, I keep getting more and more evidence of there is truly something beyond.
Yeah. All right, Todd.
It's hard. Like Nate heard the footsteps on the stairs, or whatever, and then the pinch. What was that? You said was that
Bobby Mackey's down in the basement.
I mean, who knows what it is? But it's like he said, something happened. There was something there. Now, what it is, who knows? What's funny? Did you notice, Kristen, that Nate was always with Aaron, or Shawn and I were left?
Yeah,
they make too much noise.
Guilty.
Yeah. I'll tell you about my personal experience, the one from 6-7 years ago. But Shawn and I at Waverly, we had some decent
we
sounds that we heard, and we're like, okay, what's going on here? Because it wasn't us, and it wasn't anybody else around.
We had several experiences at Waverly, and separate, some of it separate, and like with they talk about the toys that the children's spirits play with. We saw evidence of that. We have a video of things that we cannot explain, and I look for trickery. I look for, is this wind or weather? Is it somebody trying to
Right.
We could not find evidence of any of that. We heard chains. We heard, people. We heard, what was it? We're trying to say it was either high heels or doctors like hard-soled shoes coming down the hallway.
Yeah, he had said when that happened, we were like, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I heard." It was some type of hard-soled shoe,
and we thought it was one in our group, but nobody in our group had those kind of shoes. No. Nobody did, and they weren't on that same level. We looked around because I'm like, there has to be somebody here on this level. There was not,
and it was loud. It was loud.
We
both heard it, and we're like, okay, both of us hearing it kind of confirmed something. Again,
it stopped me in my tracks. Yeah,
because you did. And he's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "I did."
I'm
like, "That's kind of creepy."
Aaron's mom was there, and I heard Aaron. Her mom and I were leaving the room. We were up where the balls were doing the weird stuff up in the top floor, and she and I left a room, and we both heard like a grunt. It was somebody grunting, like they weren't happy with us. And I told her, I was like, "Oh my gosh, did you just hear that?" And she and I confirmed that we heard the same thing. And it just was weird. We're like, "I think we need to get out of here." She's like, "Post haste."
There's something about that aspect of hauntings or activity. The sound of hard heels on a wooden floor. Whether it's upstairs or in another room. Like, if that were me, I'd like to think that I would be brave, and that's it. I'm out. I'm done.
I kept going forward. I wanted to find, because I just knew somebody was going to be there, and they were not. So it gave me chills.
The one thing I forgot was at the very end of the night, I shined my red flashlight down the hallway because we had to get to the stairway for the exit. And as we're looking down this hallway, there's a shadow figure popping its head out from behind the corner of the
we saw it. We did all see that.
And we all saw it. Like, we were all together as a group at that time. And it was like, "Did you guys see that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we just kept seeing this head popping out.
Whoa. Oh, that's creepy.
Mom.
Yeah, Aaron's mom had a
she
death light.
wasn't having it.
She flipped out.
It's like, "Mom, you have to go that way. We have to. It's okay." We're she's like, no, and we did. we had to,
we had to drag her.
Yeah. Waverly Hills is known for, they're supposed to have the shadow figures popping out of the rooms, down the hall.
The creeper.
Yeah. And then there's supposed to be the creeper. I was disappointed we didn't see him, but
I think we brought him home with us, but we're not.
You're too loud.
I know. I'll tell you what, though, Waverly Hills did not disappoint. It's it's better than I thought. Cool.
That's what I've heard. And I'm sorry, the creeper, is he on the ceiling? Is that place?
Yes,
he's like the third floor or so. I don't know. Fourth, but he's supposed to kind of go everywhere.
He can go anywhere.
He'll find someone that he likes and follow him around.
Oh no!
I was hoping that. I'm like, come on, man, let's go.
He wanted to bring him back for our studio.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
We were gonna have him as a guest, but I guess he didn't have any part of us. But no,
he declined.
He declined. In his own way. Yeah, Waverly was cool. Whispers Estate was cool. It's creepy. Bobby Mackey's is interesting. It's stuck in 1977, 1978. It's a honky tonk, and nothing has been done to it to make it current or up to date. But
if there's a leak in the roof, you just slide a pan underneath.
Yeah,
it.
right. That's kind of the maintenance. Nate was saying earlier, there's a section of pool tables, and they call it the creepy corner. And it's supposed to kind of have a heavy feeling, and a lot of people get headaches and don't feel well, the pressure. And did you say you did?
I did too.
Yeah, Shawn and I,
we
walk over there. Well, they say like you put a billiard ball on the thing, and it sometimes rolls by itself, and that didn't happen. But I was like, man, I got a headache. I'm starting to get that pressure, and Shawn did too. And so I think that's about the only thing I had at Bobby Mackey's, but
and it went away as soon as we walked away from the corner, which
did.
I kept thinking this isn't real, and I kind of was like, no, I'm feeling it.
And when I get a headache, it lasts.
Yeah, me too.
It's a couple hours at least.
Right.
No, my personal experience though, that's probably the creepiest, was I work at a church full time, Christian church, and we had it's not so much now, but we had this room. It's like the first aid room, and we have like a little futon, and myself and even other employees, if you're not feeling well, or you just want to take a break on your lunch hour or whatever, you can lay down, and so I did. It was a Friday. I was exhausted, I was so tired, and I was out. I mean, and I had my phone. I would set my alarm so I know when to get up to go back to work. It was late afternoon, and I just had to lay down. And so I had the phone on my chest. Well, it wakes me up, and I could not move. I could not move, and I felt like something was pushing me down. And I was wide awake. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't in some type, I don't do drugs or anything. I wasn't drunk. I could not get up, and I'm like, and I couldn't speak though. I was trying to yell to like somebody to help me, and I couldn't get my words out. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And this lasted probably 10 or 15 minutes. And I just felt
Wow.
something was trying to keep me down. And I didn't get scratched. I didn't hear anything, but I felt something. And that was pretty creepy. And finally, I was just talking to myself, like, you've got to do everything you can, get the most energy you can, the most force, and just burst out of it, however that looks like, to get up. And that's what happened. I mean, I just had to like force myself up, and I sat up, and I'm like, what the heck was that? And I mean, I was out of there. I had never had it before or since, and I didn't tell anybody because, again, like we said, like they were like, what? They would have thought I was making, I don't know if they would thought I was making it up, but they just like, maybe you were sleeping. I was not. I was wide awake.
Or that you were doing drugs and drinking on the job.
That could have been.
Sure.
Yeah. No, but it was scary. Like I said, I didn't feel. I don't know if it was an attack, but like something was. I don't know if they were just messing with me or whatever it was. Whatever. That's probably the most intense. But yeah, I was holding me down on that futon for a good 10, 15 minutes. But what was scary is I couldn't get my words out. I couldn't yell. I couldn't talk. To
Wow.
help, hey,
Wow.
have somebody pick me up or help me up. So.
Yeah. Now you had been sleeping prior to that, and then you came awake, or you were just laying there.
Yeah, I was out. I was sleeping, and then my alarm went off on my phone to wake me up, and I reached to turn it off, and then I couldn't get up. I could not get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, wide
Yeah.
awake, ready to go, and something was holding me down. Whatever it was, I don't know.
Whew,
No
gosh. Yeah.
signals, no voices or anything. No, but yeah, I was like, I don't know what. I could not get up. I couldn't physically. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I was thinking, like anybody skeptical listening to a story like that might be like, oh, that was just sleep paralysis. But like, I've had brushes with sleep paralysis before, and it's not like I specifically like I might be scared or whatever because it's nighttime, but like to feel held down and like you just, I mean, you're fully awake now, and it's that sends a shiver up my spine, dude. That is creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy.
I am just less than middle-aged and creeped out.
You're That's hilarious.
Uh, oh, one more thing I wanted to ask. So, um, this might be a little deep, but are we all here have faith or like a secular foundation? I'm specifically asking Nate because I'm not sure. So
Me? Why'd I get?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, all of you, but I think I've heard you both
Yeah,
talk about that.
I was raised Catholic, and
Okay.
my beliefs are very Christian oriented. So yeah, I mean, I do believe in higher power, and
Okay. Okay. Well, I was curious, and I'm always curious to ask this with people with that strong faith, foundation. How do you align that side with all of these topics that you're learning with the paranormal? Does it always agree? Do you find things that just no, no, no? Like, you know what I mean? That was a mess of a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
I look at it as it all intertwines somewhere. Is how I sort of look at it. There's a big plan, and it all connects somehow. We probably don't know how, probably never will know how, but
Yeah.
I mean everything exists, here, there, and everywhere through God's plan. So
Yeah, as far as me, yeah, I've been a believer in Christ. I've been a Christian. I got baptized in 2001. Like I said, I work at a Christian church full time. As far as like my faith and how that comes into play, because I've had people ask, "Hey, how are you a Christian and you believe in whatever shadow figures or ghosts?" And I'm like, it's not that hard because I believe in good and evil. There's good and bad, and whatever these things are, some of them are evil. So I believe in angels and demons. Kind of on the good and bad thing. I don't know how they came about. I don't know, what they're here for, what their purpose is, whatever. If you're talking a cryptid or if you're talking a shadow figure, a black-eyed kid, all the different paranormal entities. There's too many people out there that they've experienced something, whether they're believers, Christians or not, or they got another type of faith. It doesn't shake my faith, because it doesn't like, oh, well, yeah, I don't believe in God now. I don't believe in Jesus. You know what? I'm not going to be a Christian because I do a podcast about paranormal, or vice versa. It's like Nate said, I think it intertwines. I think there's something there. Whatever it is, God knows about it. It's
why do an injustice to ourselves, not investigate it?
Yeah, right. I do believe in spirits. Some spirits might have a hard time just passing on. Maybe they're lingering around. I do believe
Waiting for a loved one.
a heaven
energy.
I believe in heaven and hell, and I do believe that when I die, I'm going to be in heaven with but it's that in between. Who knows? Maybe somebody just isn't there yet, or maybe there's just an evil spirit that's they have nothing to do with. They weren't human. I don't know if I answered it great, but that's kind of where I'm at with mine. My faith and
yeah, no, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've gone around, like I said, I wanted to be a minister at 15. I lost my grandparents that when I was 15, that same year, like 8 months apart. And so it really drew me into wanting to question and wonder and find my faith. And I know since being 15, I've gone round and around with my faith and questioned and wondered. And, I've looked at other religions and tried to find, what my truth is, what I feel is what it really is. And I keep going back, I come from a Nazarene church. That's what I was raised in, and a Christian background. And that's where I keep that's what makes sense to me, And so I feel like a lot of these things help, like the guys are saying, it helps to solidify that there's something out there, and it actually helps to empower your faith. And I know I used to be where I would think I want to figure out everything. At some point, I'm gonna have all the truth, and I'm gonna have all the answers. But it's really, really hard to do that. And eventually, you do have to realize, like, I may not figure it all out, but it's fun to talk about, fun to investigate, and to question. God gave us the ability to question and wonder and think and extrapolate, and even Him and His existence. And I think that's the beauty of it. So for me, I think it's a cool thing, and I think it is very restrictive if we don't push those boundaries and think about it. And because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn and laugh and have fun and enjoy each other, but to learn about each other, ourselves, and the universe that we're in. So I think it's a cool thing.
Kristen, we just did our 100th episode, and it was on the Skinwalker Ranch, and I cannot remember the guy's name, but it was on the Skinwalker on the website. And the guy said, "We're not here to believe, we're not here to disbelieve, but we are here to observe." And I thought that was perfect.
It's a good way.
I thought that was a good statement. Yeah. So
yeah, I love that. I'll have to get that quote later. Write it down. That's awesome. All right. So it's gonna feel like a hard veer left. We are gonna be running up against time, but I want to ask you, because you guys asked me last time about a local cryptid of mine. So I'm turning the question back around at you.
Okay.
Teach me about a local cryptid.
One, I used to live in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and there's a it's called the Crawfordsville Monster. It's even in Wikipedia. I lived there and I didn't even know about it at the time. But we did an episode about Indiana monsters. So there's a lot more than I ever thought. From like this humongous turtle that's up in
and I think there's Indiana Sasquatch.
Yeah, there's all kind of, but and they're it's interesting. There's swamp monsters and all, or river mermaids or something or other. That seems a little silly to me. But the Crawfordsville Monster is interesting because they're really legitimate, like, reports, and it was this big glob that a few people saw in the sky, and it had what looked like, it looked like some kind of an alien being in the sky, and it looked to be in pain by the reports. And it had what they consider, it was some kind of a red, like, mouth or eyes or whatever. And then it looked like a tail. It's like a serpent in the sky kind of thing. And I had like I said, I lived there and I'd never heard of it. And but this is something, I think it happened the sighting started in like the late 1800s, and then they had some in the 1900s. But yeah, it was this is called the Crawfordsville Monster. And it was just very bizarre because, like I said, the people who reported it are just like we're talking about. People don't talk about these things unless they have a reason to. And it was really like, my gosh, we really did see this, and it was in the sky, whether it was some kind of a craft, or whether it was a ghost of some kind, or whether it was just, back then you wouldn't think they would be, high as a kite or whatever, who knows, but several people saw it, and it wasn't, it was separate sightings. So, but it's, like I said, it is one of the Indiana cryptids or monsters out there that is unexplained. They never could figure out exactly what this thing was and why people were seeing it.
Wow, that's new to me. I'd never heard about that before. Thank you.
I lived there. Solid year anyway.
Yeah.
Man, and you know what, as far as people maybe or maybe not being high back then, I mean, they used to have cocaine in the cough syrup, so I don't know. I don't know. But
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
but it doesn't speak to a vast thousands upon thousands of sightings of things in the sky, aerial phenomena, as you know, like this season I am talking about aliens and UFOs, so I'm just like all about, stories like that. I'm like, ooh, 1800s, you say. But on that note, and then I think we will take it to a close here in a bit, but you have spoken about aliens here and there throughout your show. You did a really fabulous 2-part episode on aliens, round about the middle. That was a favorite one of mine. And you also covered like Battle of Los Angeles early on, and of course you just did Skinwalker. Now, I apologize because I could not tell between the voices at the time, but one of you is not so much an alien guy.
I'm not.
That's Todd.
Okay.
I'm not much of a cryptid or an alien guy.
No, crypt is no alien. Okay. All right. Well, having covered these subjects over the course of the last 2 years, what are your general thoughts on aliens, unidentified flying objects, UAPs, that world? What are your thoughts now?
I'll start. I think since we've done our podcast, since I haven't been a big alien guy, especially after the 2-parter and then in the Battle of LA, I'm leaning towards there is something, because I honestly, until the podcast, I was like, I don't think there is. I don't think is an alien type craft that's flying around, and I'm probably 60-40, 70-30 now. Where I used to be 10% chance, maybe. Like, okay, it's plausible, I guess, but not much into it. And so, just you do research, or you read these stories, or you read these personal experiences from people that they've seen something, where they've experienced something. And a lot of times we say, when we did the Gary Hell House, there's professionals, police officers, firefighters, nurses, putting their careers on the line and their reputations. Well, the more I hear people doing that, and I'm like, okay, they've got something to lose. I kind of buy into a little bit more. So yeah, I think there is something. I think there is. I think, leaning towards it, I'll say.
Nate, Shawn, your opinions changed at all?
Me?
No.
Nate, Shawn, sometimes we get linked together.
Yeah. Jonathan.
Shawn.
So, I've always believed in some sort of alien life form. I like the whole aspect of the universe is so big you can't even fathom how big, and how in that entirety of the universe are we the only living beings around. I don't know. By odds and statistics, I just can't see that. Now, do they have far superior technology than what we have to be able to travel that distance to us? I don't know. Yet to be seen. There are accounts of alien abductions and sightings of alien craft, but I haven't personally seen it yet, so it's still up in the air as far as can they travel here. I know we can't there. So yeah, it's just very intriguing to me, that the whole alien concept. So I've always thought there's something out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sticking point for me with it's weird because I can separate the subject of UFOs from the subject of aliens and think these might be two separate subjects. Like, I can separate that very easily. And the subject of aliens is still a sticking point to me. But I have to agree with you, Nate, that, I mean, the universe is just so unimaginably big. And, from the span of the beginning of time all the way to the end of time, we're it. Like, this is it. We're the best that, that, is going to happen. Like, so yeah, I think you're right with the odds and such. Like, the odds are we are not alone, as far as how intelligent something else may be. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What about you, Shawn?
I think that we are in an intergalactic playground or college learning, whatever you want to call it. And we are, at least as far as Earth, we might be the last ones to catch up. Or we truly are trying to, raise our vibration, whatever. But I see it as more, aliens potentially could be more of a spiritually based entity. And like I said, we're just not quite ready. I think I know you're covering a lot of the interesting, like, and I've been watching it closely too. That was never like main news, like alien sightings, and the White House saying, no, this isn't aliens. It's like when the White House is saying this isn't aliens, we got trouble. But it's like, oh crap, this might actually be aliens. But the thing is, I look for trickery in some of that stuff, and like you're saying, there's definitely a difference. You have to be careful because there's easily could be this, a lot of times could be military based or countries fighting each other and all this kind of stuff, and we could get in the middle of that kind of ridiculousness. So I don't get too excited about that, but I really think that whatever's out there is a higher level being and sees it a lot clearer than we do. It's that they don't, I'm sure, I hope anyway, don't see the need for war and disease and all these things. And they're out there trying to be very patient with us in the universe. At least I hope so. That is, I believe where there's life, there's hope. That's a big thing for me. And so I look at that way, because otherwise we become into this Hollywood movie where it just all goes down the drain and it's in the world. And I don't, yeah. And, I just don't see it that way. I think there's goodness out there. I think there's more goodness out there in the universe than there's not. So the beings that would be out there, in my opinion, would be altruistic.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. I don't like that threat narrative at all.
Welcome to Earth. Right.
Yeah, and that Skinwalker Ranch, it's crazy.
That might be the episode. That might be the truth. We just need to figure that thing out.
That we talked about maybe we were going to do a 2-parter, and I was like, well, let's just do a longer 1-parter. Honestly, we could probably do 7 parts. I mean, it's just never ending stories and occurrences that are crazy. It's very, very crazy, from what was like alien, werewolves,
ghosts,
or dogmen. Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
anything and everything out there. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that speaks more subjectively to some place like Skinwalker Ranch, where it's obviously so powerful. There's a lot of energy there, that all these different, like what we think of as like separate compartmentalized aspects of the paranormal, they're all there. So they're congruently there. So it's crazy. Yeah, there's so much to cover there.
Yeah, they're having a party, and that's the center. The hangout. That's
or the portal. That's where they're coming in.
That's right.
All right. Wow. That time has gone by really fast. It always does. But we are nearing the end, where I like to throw some rapid fire questions at you. And some of these are thinkers. I've just got a couple prepared for you. And the first one is going to be each individually. I just want to know your individual thoughts. And then I've got a shared one here for you. All right. So first question. You pass away. For argument's sake, you are an earthbound ghost. What ghostly stereotype do you fully intend to carry out?
I'm going to haunt my wife and kids.
Yay!
Stereotype. I'm definitely going to be, since I like to talk, I'm going to be that ghost that's going to be constantly yapping. You're going to hear my voice. You're going to be like, talk about whispers of state. I'm going to be in people's ears. I'm going to be making noise. Yeah. I'm not going to be malevolent. I'm going to be nice. But I'll definitely, and I like to play prank. So we do that all the time at work, and that's what I'll be. I'll be a trickster. Nothing negative, and then I'll be constantly, people like, did you hear that guy? Or did you hear that voice? Sounds like I heard a man's voice. Yeah, that's my answer.
I'd definitely be the mischievous one. I'd hide car keys and move things.
That's fun.
It's got to be fun, you're right. I mean, you don't have all the powers that you used to, physical capabilities. It's got to be fun to do that.
Walk through walls, right? That's
Yeah.
what make an entrance.
Close the door on me. I'll just go right through.
Yeah. Try to keep me out, right?
All right, that's awesome. All right, so this one, y'all can kind of gather here on this answer. So you guys are obviously buddies. You're good friends. You're
Mhm.
very agreeable with each other on the show. When are you disagreeable?
Oh,
That's a good
And
question.
anytime off the show.
We've
like, that's
hammered out beforehand.
yeah.
Honestly, we really don't get along, or we get along. I'm sorry, we get along. The only time that we ever kind of butt heads is when we like put something out. We try really hard not to talk too much about religion and politics.
Mhm.
And anytime we feel like we've gotten a little bit too far into something that's it really like singles out somebody and our listeners, we have really come together and tried to hammer that out. But that's the only time that we really have
I would
like
agree.
open like it's not disagreements necessarily. It's just like hey, we probably need to look at this.
Yeah.
But honestly, this is so much fun that we really don't.
What you're getting here is how we interact. We
Yeah.
don't butt heads too much.
No, like politics and all that it's okay, but if you want to listen to politics and listen to a political podcast, or if you want social issues or whatever,
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to hear my opinion on whatever,
Yeah.
and so I like political interactions and all that, and I on social media and all that, but I'll go to a specific site for that, or a specific somebody's Instagram account if I want that. So the same with us. We don't want to talk about anything that's going to single out anybody, make anybody feel bad, where they live, where they came from, what their background is, what their current circumstances. We're here to have fun, take a break from that. We want to make
Right.
people
That's a
laugh,
good
and
point.
smile, and escape for an hour or 30 minutes on our minis, and just talk about fun, creepy stuff,
Yeah.
and if we help out in the mental health world, that's even better. That's even better.
It really is the spirit of our show is coming together to take a break from reality and pain and misfortunes and sadness and the stresses of the world. So that's why you get us. That's what we're looking for when we're there.
Mhm.
We all have. It's just like anything else. You want to put on a good face because you don't want to be that person coming in and going, "Well, my day was awful," and we'll talk about this a little bit. We try to get that out before we record. So if we need a little bit of time to vent or talk about how our day's gone, but then we jump in and we still will share some of those aspects of our life. But yeah, it really is. There's this feeling of like, let's bring something that we can enjoy and then other people want to congregate and be part of. So yeah, we are pretty agreeable with each other.
I would think the only, and other than we might go, we might have to take that out or edit or whatever. But like I said, Nate, he's a big like Bigfoot and cryptid guy, and I know Shawn and him like the aliens. I'm not so much, so it's not a disagreement, but it's like we have our own favorite things, as far as a paranormal, it's not a disagreement, but I like, I'm big into shadow figures and demons and ghosts more, that type of thing. And Shawn might be into whatever, and then Nate. So
we always try to make sure it goes to the creepy too.
Yeah.
That's what we always want to have, a paranormal or creepy aspect to the things that we're talking about.
And Shawn's a big history guy. He loves history. And I have in doing this podcast, I have grasped the history of it too. The historical part, because whether something's real or not, whether it's this place is really haunted or not, or they have this going on, but it's a real place. And back in the 1800s, this family lived in this house. So it's a real location and it's a real structure. Now, what goes on in it, who knows? That's up to the person listening. But it's fun though. We talk about all these historical places in different times and decades. Yeah. So that's another fun part that I've latched onto.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe that's why y'all work so well together. You know how the old adage, opposites attract, where, each of you have your strongholds and you're able to just kind of have this continual, round table discussion about it all, and stand up and say what and you're just sharing, just a constant sharing discussion.
It's
Triforce.
Yeah.
Well, you're pulling it off nicely, my dudes.
They
All
put
right.
up with me because they don't know how to operate the sound equipment.
We love Nate.
Kristen, Shawn and I have missed maybe two or three apiece. I was sick one time, he was sick, or I had to miss one because of work or whatever. This guy
Perfect
is
attendance.
perfect attendance because he has to. He's like, give me a break sometime.
There's no show dropped. It's because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
They'd be
He's
in
like,
real trouble if you get sick, Nate.
Nate's like, all you have to do is just push these buttons, and Shawn and I are like, no, that's not all it is. It's no, we don't believe you.
No, if I didn't do the exact same thing every single time, I would be in trouble because I lost my sound guy like 6 months ago when we moved. So I'm like,
Oh.
nothing break, don't break.
You do a great job.
Yeah.
Really enjoy your podcast.
Same, absolutely. Well, just one more question for you, and it'll be brief. But it's a thinker. So every episode, or for most of the episodes, as far as I have heard, you near the end of it, you like to end with a title of a song, the musician, and the lyrics. I will not ask you for the lyrics because that would be hard, but I would like a title of a song that you think really exemplifies you. What's that song that just really hits?
Ooh,
That's a really good question. All these songs are floating through me now.
Oh gosh, I don't know. There's a lot of songs that are a part of me, you know. Man, I don't know.
Is that too hard, too much? I should have asked at the beginning so you could
Yeah,
think
no,
about it.
You had to stew on that one.
I was gonna joke that AC/DC Back in Black. But that's
Yeah. Man, I don't.
Well,
We are the champions.
well, we got a
Oh, yeah.
we got a Van Halen guy here,
Yeah.
we got a Beatles guy here, and we got a
Yes.
Kiss guy. So we got somewhere in there. But I do like we are
Maybe they'll make a mashup of it at some point. Yeah, those are getting good. All
great
right.
question.
Yeah.
We'll take a mashup of all three of those, and or we are the champions. I love that because you guys are. All right.
Stop believing.
Very good. Right.
Don't stop believing.
Time, I'll get them out.
Oh God.
No.
Y'all rock so much. So it seems like every time I tune into your shows, you guys are always prepping for some live event, some live show, something. What have you guys got coming up next?
We are excited to announce, well, we have on our show, but April 22nd, we will be at the Indiana State Sanatorium, which we were there back in, was it October, November?
November, yeah.
November.
So it wasn't that long ago, and we love the place. And so we're going to do we call them on location, meaning we're going to be there during the operational hours. We're going to be recording some episodes. People can come out. We're going to also do a investigation afterwards. But people can come out, see us. We're going to have some giveaways. It's going to be really fun. And it's only $25 to come out. You have from 10 to 5.
It's in Rockville,
Indiana, about an hour west of us here in Plainfield. We've got that going on April 22nd. And then we've got a couple other things. We just haven't nailed the dates down, but we have 2 or 3 possible other on locations. May 20th. We're going to be with Jerry and Tracy, the Hillbilly Horror Stories live show at the Boone County Distillery Jail in Lebanon, Indiana, for a live show in the Tragedy of Cinema. That's going to be fun. And then we have our first live show scheduled, Kristen, next October. October 7th, we are going to be obviously the main headliner, but we have Aaron Egnatz, friend of ours, the investigator, and Micah Campbell, who is a paranormal author. And we've had them both on a couple of times, and they're going to be our special guests, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have food and merch and giveaways, and then talk about the creepy stuff. And so we're really excited. It's going to be in Danville, Indiana, which is just 15 minutes from here. And we've got some fun things planned for 2023. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, you guys are busy. Oh my God, where do you find the energy?
and the time, right?
I don't know really, but
we have really good wives.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: our wives are so supportive, but it gets us out of the house, and so anything we can plan other than just the recording, if they're like, "Yeah, do some on location, do some
sure.
yeah, go do your thing, your paranormal thing." Yeah, it gives them a break too, right? But no, it's gonna be fun. We're looking forward to the things we've got coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I will definitely post, any links or anything you guys can send me after
Okay.
we're done here.
Great.
Where online can people find and follow you? Where can they listen to your show, and where can they get some merch?
We have we're on all of the social media, basically Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. TikTok. We're TikTokers. So we have groups and things you can join there and be part of. We do Tuesday Terror videos every Tuesday. That gets that's on, we put that on everything but Twitter. We can't put that on Twitter, but so that's us like sharing stories. It's
Short,
just fun.
creepy stories.
Yeah, and then we talk about how to get in touch with us too. But we have a email account. Or when am I saying that right?
Mako
Mako.
podcast.
I normally have this written in front of me here.
gmail.com.
Yeah, an email address. That's what I'm trying to say. So, but you can send, you touch base with us, tell us how you're doing, show ideas, and order merch.
Mhm.
So yeah, we do have merch with our logo, our new logo on it, so people can get those. But
Pretty much anything and everything you can get with our logo. It's pretty interesting to know what you can order. It's I told somebody, I said, I'm working on the bathing suit for a male and and female bathing suit and they're like, are you sure you want to do that? I thought, why not?
We joke about toilet paper, and that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
that's a horrible idea.
That'll probably smell like hot cakes.
It probably would.
That's pretty much it. I think, to
Okay.
get- Yeah, we're pretty easy. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I guess that is the end for us. So let's close it out. Can I hear maybe a final thought or words of wisdom, words of advice that you would like to leave with us?
One of my favorite authors, and I've said this, I've talked to him about him before, is Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he, I ended up, I'll have to tell that story another time, but I ended up in his last book before he died. He died in 2015. Harrison and I, my son and I, ended up with a story in his book. And he used to say, one of his favorite quotes was, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that hit me then, and it still hits me today, to try to change your perspective. We really need to, there's a lot of negativity in this world, and we really need to shift it into helping each other out, loving each other more, understanding each other more, and being tolerant. So change the way you look at things. The things you look at will change. And I think this earth and this world can get better. So shout out to him. And it really, that drives me, that idea. So I would like to leave everybody with that.
I would concur.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're struggling with mental health and you're down and depressed and you don't think you have it in anymore, just don't quit. Don't stop. Get help. Reach out to somebody. You are loved. There is somebody that's going to miss you. Just hang in there. Just hang in there, because I'm here to say I've been there many times, and I just held on. And then it won't get fixed right away, possibly, but just hang on, and better days are to come. So just don't give in, and just reach out to anybody. Because you're loved. You are loved, even when you don't feel like it.
I like to say, don't be scared to try, because
That's a good one.
Todd did that with this podcast, and this is where we're at now.
Yeah, right.
And I want to say, these two guys, I love them as brothers, and they're my friends, but they're also brothers from other mothers. And I wouldn't do it with anybody else. And I just appreciate these two guys for the journey that they agreed to go on with me. And we're just looking forward to what the future brings for Middle-Aged and Creeped Out.
As are we all, and I just appreciate what you guys do. Continue doing it, because y'all are rocking it, and I just adore your show. And thank you guys so much again for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We love your show too.
Yeah, you keep doing what you're doing. We love it.
All right, that is Shawn, Todd, and Nate from Middle-Aged and Creeped Out. Have a good day, you guys.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for tuning in today. If you loved what you heard, loved my guests, want more, just head over to their page and subscribe. Hit them up on the socials to stay connected, or shoot them an email at makopodcast@gmail.com. Tell them you heard them right here and that I sent you. And if you liked today's episode, please rate and review wherever you heard it. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, click that subscribe button. I sincerely appreciate all of your support. That is a wrap on today's episode. Join me next week for an all-new one. Until then, stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.